Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Hope you all are doing good. So, today we are going to talk about an interesting topic about SQL Server database backups. Okay, so you must be aware, like starting from SQL 2012, we have an option to take backups to an URL. So, we used to take it to an Azure storage container and we can keep our backups there. So with SQL Server 2022, we have a new option or a new feature or a new enhancement, whatever you call it. So we have a new option to take our backups directly to AWS S3 bucket. Okay, so this was something interesting, I thought. So I thought let's see how to do it so that it will be helpful. And please note, right now SQL Server 2022 is not a complete product, it is in CTP, so which is like a preview mode. Okay, but still we can explore this and see like how you can take your backups to AWS S3 bucket. Okay, so let's directly get into the demo part. So I don't have any slides or anything. So let's directly see like how you can do this setup and take your backups. Okay. So this is my AWS page and this is my SQL instance and I have CTP 2.1 installed on my machine, and this is the database which we are going to take backup to our S3 bucket directly. Okay, so first we have to create the bucket, S3 bucket, right? So let's go ahead and create it. So I will say let's name it as maybe uh, DB backup and I'll give 29 July. Okay, this is going to be my bucket name and I'll go with the same region like Asia Pacific South. And all these things, since this is for our testing purpose, I'm going with most of the things with defaults. So when you do this in production, obviously you have to follow certain best practice from security standpoint and everything. Okay, so since this is for our learning purpose, I'm going with all defaults. And see, this also you should not be doing it in your real time. So I'm unchecking this so that my bucket will be accessible publicly. Okay, since this is for testing purpose I am doing it, so let's acknowledge that. And rest all, as I said, we'll go with the defaults only. Okay, let's create a bucket and we are done. And here we'll create a folder, so where we are going to place our backups. Let's go and create, let's say, DB backup. I'll call it like that and create folder. So now you have the folder ready. Let's copy this URI, unique resource identifier and URL. Okay, and let's keep that handy. I'll just open a notepad and I'll say this is my URI and I'll copy the URL also. We'll just hold this. Okay, now we know, okay, this is the path where I'm going to take the backup. Okay, so since we are going to take it from a SQL machine which is somewhere sitting on my machine, there should be a way to authenticate and talk to this blob, right? So for that we are going to create a user, and that user will be mapped with a policy, so which will hold the permission for our blob. Okay, first let's go to the IAM section and we'll first create a policy. Okay, so once the policy is created, we'll try to attach it to that user so that we should be able to authenticate to our S3 bucket. Okay, so I'm in the policy window. Let's go and create the policy quickly. We have to choose the service what this policy is for. So I'll say this is for S3 and So here, just imagine like in case of Windows, how you're going to take a backup. So when you're taking a backup to any path, so you will be needing permission to that location, and you should also be SQL also should be able to view what files are there, right? So we are going to do similar permission here. So since this is an S3 bucket, I'll go with list bucket, and we have something called put object, which is like I'll write my object there or backup here. So these are the two permissions which is minimally required for us to configure this. And then uh, let's sorry cancel. I think let's go back. Sorry, I canceled the entire window. So let's choose S3 here and let's define the permission. I'll say list bucket. This is to list, so at least like this is to know like what files are underneath it and those kind of things. So then I'll say put object. So these two are done, and let's go with the tags. Okay, wait, still we are not done. Okay, so we have to specify the resources. So I'll go with all resources, but again this is not the best practice. Since we are doing it for the demo, I'm going with all resource. Again, like tags is something you should be adding it. That will be helpful in your real time scenario. So I'm not going to add it now. I'm just skipping it since this is for our demo. I'll say this policy as SQL backup policy. Okay, and let's create it. So once this policy is created, what we are going to do is I'm going to go and create a user. So let's go here, add a user. I'll say SQL backup underscore user maybe. And so you have two options. One is with access key and password. So we are going to go with access key because we will be needing this access key ID and secret to complete this setup from SQL end. So let's go with this option, and here you have multiple options to set the permission. We already have a policy which is configured, so we can attach that policy so that this user will be getting those permissions whatever is defined in that policy. Okay, so next let's go to tag. Again I'm going to ignore this, but in real time this is something you should configure. And let's create the user. This is going to give me the access key. We'll copy that access key and let's put it here. Secret also we'll copy it. Okay, so these things you should be keeping it securely, and this should not be, I mean, easily accessible to everyone. So it's your responsibility to keep it in a secured manner. Okay. Okay, fine. So we got all these details. Okay, so using this access key only, I'm going to authenticate to this S3 bucket. Okay, let's copy this and switch to our SMS. Okay, let me just replace this. Okay, first thing is like we have to create the credentials. Okay, so this is the syntax which we follow. So starting with SQL 2022, like we have this new feature like where we can take this backup to S3 bucket. So the identity here will always, it will, we have to always say as S3 access key. Okay, and your syntax will be something like S3 followed by your endpoint, which is the S3 endpoint, and then your bucket, the folder whatever we created. Okay, so we will copy this. I already have a similar syntax pasted here, so I'm just going to replace that. So this is my syntax. Okay, and then we are going to replace this. I mean, in place of secret, I'm going to define the access key and secret key. So let's copy the access key first, and then let's use the this thing secret key. Okay, now with this my credential is created. Okay, next is the syntax to take the backup. Okay, so this is the basic syntax to take backup. So you will be again providing the endpoint and the bucket name and the backup. So in our case, this is going to be my path where backup will be taken, and let's replace that. That's all. Let's try to take a backup now. Okay, so we got an error saying uh, an access denied message basically. Okay, so you have to be very careful when you're setting up this. Okay, so if you look closely to this error message, you see like it says it cannot open the backup device, and probably let me zoom in further. You see this like it is having a wrong path actually. So ideally it should be having something like this with a single slash, whereas the error says it's having two slash. So let's go ahead and correct it. So first we'll drop the credential whatever we have created. I'll tell you what needs to be corrected as well. So since I was trying this, so I'm aware of this problem. When you create it, just make sure like you don't give that forward slash here. So this is the mistake which we did. So let's remove that and recreate the same credentials with, I mean, the same keys. Now let's go and run this command. Backup. Okay, wait. Let's see what is the problem. Okay, wait. I already have a problem with this path, whatever I have supplied. Okay, my bad. So now let's try. Okay, so now we got the backup. Let's go to the uh, S3 bucket and we'll quickly check. So though I already had a syntax error in my backup statement, still this is something which you have to take care when you're creating your credentials. So ideally if you give another slash here, this won't work. This is something which I tested and you would be getting an error. So just be careful when you are creating the credentials to get this working correctly. Okay, this is my bucket and this is the folder, and yeah, we have our backup here. So now like you on top of this you can also set up the retention policy also. So in AWS S3 bucket you have something called this lifecycle rules. So you can create a lifecycle rule and just give a name backup cleanup and say you can say like expire current version of the object, and you can say for how long you are going to return, like how many days of files you are going to retain, and rest all you can delete. So you can define this logic here, so you don't have to write any custom script. So you can just create a life cycle rule under this bucket, so that it is going to automatically take care of cleaning up the backups as well. Okay, so that's all for this video. I hope you liked it. So please let me know if you have any feedback, or let me know your thoughts. Okay, thank you.